Apparo Solutions. ExcelHub. This video gives an overview of how easy it is with Apparo to import Excel data into your own relational database, including security, traceability, and data validity checks. We start from scratch, just like you, when the installation of Apparo is complete. A database table with all required columns has already been created. We start our tutorial with calling the Apparo Portal. Apparo requires no client installation, you just need a web browser. Apparo uses the existing security system. In our example, we use Active Directory for authentication. But first we switch the browser to full screen mode, and then we log in. Apparo is multi-client capable. Each client is its own encapsulated environment, with its own languages, settings, security, database connections, etc. So first we need to create a client and give it an ID and a name. We have also prepared two demo users, who are members of these two security groups. By entering the security groups, we assign the users to this client. Now we have to set the languages we want to use. The first language installed is also the default language. Apparo automatically recognizes the language of the user. The language files are located in the language folder of the installation directory. The next step is to prepare the connection to the database. Choose a name and the vendor, and enter all necessary details. You may have noticed the green hanging button on the right side. This activates the description mode, which provides detailed information on all features and settings. After saving the database connection, we are ready for the business cases. Business cases are small web applications, like Excel import apps, forms, list views, etc. These can be used as single apps, or combined to larger apps like, for example, workflows. For our Excel import app, we create a business case of type table. Enter an ID and a name. Do not forget to select the underlying database table. Then click Next. At startup time, a widget was created for each existing table column. The feature list is also displayed automatically when the business case is started for the first time. Here you can enable or disable features. The Excel import with copy and paste feature, required for our demo, is already activated by default. Therefore we can close the window. Every business case requires at least one primary key widget. We use the row ID for this purpose. Now we can check the settings for the Excel import. With this setting, we limit the functions of this app to import only. We will activate this setting much later and deactivate for development purposes. The next tab contains the settings for copy and paste import. Here the output description text, and here the mapping of Excel and table columns. If both do not have the same order, you can choose individual mapping. Now we want to add auditing and security features. In auditing of data changes, we activate the simple auditing. And in security, we enable the security settings for starting this app. Now we find two new entries in the left menu. In auditing, we set the columns for storing the username and timestamp. And in security, we enter the first of the two security groups used at the beginning. As a last feature, we add a data validity check. There are several ways to check if entered data is valid. As an example, we limit the ship date. No future dates shall be allowed, so we enter the variable for the current date at the maximum value. Now it's time for the test run. We start the Excel import. We copy 2 rows from here, and paste them into our import window. To test the data validity check, I change the year in the ship date to 20. I click the Import button, and receive the message that row 1 contains an error. The ship date is not correct. I manually correct it, and finish the import. Let's see if the audit information is attached correctly. Everything works as intended. Time for the final tests. As already mentioned at the beginning, we limit the function of this app to Excel import only. We save our work, and set a link to this app in the portal. I'm logging out now, and starting the tests as a normal user. Our first user is Adam Smith, who is a member of the security group, with which we granted access to the import app. The user has no access to the Apparo Designer, and can only run the import app in the portal. We switch to Excel, and copy some rows for the final test. We paste them to the import window, and start the import. The import has been completed, and the final results are displayed. For the very last test, we copy the URL of the import app. We use the login of the user Zara Jones, who has no access rights to the app. Because of missing access rights, she does not see the link in the portal. And if she tries direct access via URL, she only gets this error message. For a free 60 days trial, and more information, visit us on apparo-excelhub.solutions.